coldest decision of the LeBron era? What if I told you the Los Angeles Lakers are only weeks away from making a decision that could completely change the future of LeBron James's family legacy? Not a trade, not a blockbuster signing, not a championship move. A decision that could leave Bronny James fighting for his NBA future. And here's the shocking part. Bronny may have done absolutely nothing wrong. Right now, while fans are busy debating free agency rumors and dreaming about superstar acquisitions, a much bigger story is quietly unfolding behind closed doors. A story involving LeBron James, Bronny James, Luka Dončić, and a Lakers organization standing at a crossroads unlike anything we've seen in years. Because for the first time since LeBron arrived in Los Angeles, the franchise appears ready to move forward without making him the center of every decision. Think about that for a second. For years, everything revolved around LeBron, the roster, the coaching decisions, the championship window. Even the historic moment when Bronny joined the Lakers was viewed as part of LeBron's final basketball dream. But dreams don't always survive the business side of the NBA. As the Lakers enter a new era built around Luka Dončić, front office executives are being forced to ask difficult questions. Questions that don't care about family stories. Questions that don't care about headlines. Questions that only care about one thing: winning championships. And that puts Bronny James directly in the spotlight. The timing couldn't be more dramatic. LeBron's future remains uncertain. Retirement rumors continue to swirl. League insiders are split. Some believe he'll return for another season. Others think this summer could finally mark the end of one of the greatest careers in sports history. Meanwhile, Bronny's future hangs in the balance. If LeBron stays, everything changes. If LeBron leaves, everything changes even more. The Lakers suddenly have to decide whether Bronny is part of their long-term future or whether his roster spot becomes valuable real estate for a team trying to build a contender around Luka Dončić. And trust me, what we're about to uncover gets even more fascinating, because this isn't just a story about a young player fighting for a roster spot. It's a story about loyalty versus championships, legacy versus business, emotion versus reality. And by the end of this video, you'll understand why one decision from LeBron James could trigger a chain reaction that impacts Bronny, the Lakers, and perhaps the entire future of the franchise. Before we continue, I want to hear from you. Where are you watching from today? Drop your city, state, or country in the comments below. And here's today's question. If you believe LeBron will return next season, comment 1. If you believe LeBron will retire, comment 2. And if you think Bronny deserves another full season to prove himself regardless of what LeBron decides, comment 3. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications, because the next chapter reveals the contract details that could determine whether Bronny's Lakers career survives or disappears almost overnight. The contract that changes everything. Here is where the story stops being emotional and starts becoming dangerous. Because Bronny James's future with the Lakers may not come down to effort, potential, or even popularity. It may come down to paperwork. And buried inside that paperwork is the detail that could turn his dream situation into a brutal NBA reality. Bronny is not sitting on some untouchable superstar contract. He is not protected by a massive guaranteed deal that forces the Lakers to keep him no matter what. His contract gives Los Angeles flexibility, and in the NBA, flexibility can be a beautiful word for a front office, but a terrifying word for a young player. The Lakers can look at Bronny's deal and ask a very simple question. Is this roster spot helping us win right now? That question matters more than ever, because the team is no longer operating like a franchise built around a farewell tour. They are operating like a franchise trying to maximize Luka Dončić's prime. That means every contract matters. Every roster spot matters. Every player at the end of the bench matters. And if the Lakers believe they can use Bronny's spot on a veteran defender, a reliable shooter, a backup guard, or a big man who can protect the rim, then sentiment may not be enough to save him. That is the cold math of the NBA. Bronny may have improved. He may have worked hard. He may have handled the pressure better than most young players ever could. But improvement alone does not guarantee security when a franchise is chasing a championship. The most uncomfortable part is the timing. LeBron may not give the Lakers a final answer immediately. He may need time with his family. He may wait to see what the roster looks like. He may want to understand whether Los Angeles can still compete at the highest level. But Bronny's contract timeline may not wait patiently for that decision. That creates a nightmare scenario for the Lakers. Do they keep Bronny because LeBron might return? Do they move on because Luka needs proven help? Or do they risk making the wrong choice before the biggest piece of the puzzle is even in place? That is why this situation is so explosive. Bronny is not just fighting for minutes. He is fighting against timing, business logic, and the new direction of one of the most ruthless franchises in basketball. And once the Lakers start thinking like contenders instead of caretakers of a legacy moment, everything becomes possible, including the move nobody in the James family wants to see. The shield protecting Bronny, condensed version. Let's talk about the factor nobody can ignore: LeBron James. Because whether fans like it or not, LeBron's presence has always been Bronny's biggest layer of protection inside the NBA. As long as LeBron remains with the Lakers, Bronny represents more than a young prospect. He represents history, attention, ticket sales, media coverage, and one of the most unique father-son stories professional sports has ever seen. That matters. But what happens if LeBron walks away? The answer is simple. Everything changes. The moment LeBron retires or leaves Los Angeles, the Lakers stop evaluating Bronny through the lens of legacy and start evaluating him through the lens of winning. And that's where things become difficult. The front office would no longer ask, how does this affect LeBron? Instead, they would ask, does this help Luka Dončić win a championship? That's a completely different conversation. A championship contender doesn't make decisions based on emotion. It makes decisions based on production, roster value, and immediate impact. To be fair, Bronny has handled enormous pressure well. Every game has been analyzed, every mistake has been magnified, yet he continued working, improving, and staying professional. Still, effort alone doesn't guarantee security in the NBA. If LeBron stays, Bronny's position becomes much safer. If LeBron leaves, Bronny may have to prove he belongs without the influence and protection that comes from being connected to one of the greatest players in basketball history. And that could become the defining challenge of his career. Because the next question is even more important. Has Bronny improved enough to justify a roster spot on his own? That's exactly what we'll examine next. Has Bronny done enough? Now, we have to be fair to Bronny James, because the easiest thing in the world is to reduce his entire career to one sentence. He is only here because of LeBron. But that is too simple. Bronny did not choose the pressure that came with his last name. He did not choose to have every possession judged like a final exam. He did not choose to become one of the most debated young players in basketball before he ever had a real chance to develop. And yet, he kept showing up. He practiced. He defended. He listened. He accepted small minutes, limited touches, and constant criticism without turning himself into a distraction. That mattered. In the G League, Bronny showed flashes of real growth. He looked more confident with the ball. His shooting rhythm improved. His defensive instincts became sharper. He played with more freedom, more aggression, and more belief. But the NBA is not built on flashes. It is built on proof, and that is where the problem begins. The Lakers are not asking whether Bronny can become useful someday. They are asking whether he can help them win soon. That is a brutal difference. A young rebuilding team might give Bronny time. They might let him make mistakes, play through bad nights, and grow slowly. But a Lakers team built around Luka Dončić does not have that luxury. They need players who can defend elite guards now. They need shooters who can punish double teams now. They need role players who can survive playoff pressure now. Bronny may become that kind of player later, but the Lakers may not want to wait. And that is what makes this situation painful. Bronny has improved enough to deserve respect, but has he improved enough to guarantee his spot? That answer is much harder, because in Los Angeles, potential is valuable only when it fits the timeline. And right now, the Lakers' timeline may be moving faster than Bronny's development. The Luka Dončić era has already begun. While fans continue focusing on LeBron James and Bronny James, something much bigger is happening inside the Lakers organization, a transfer of power. And unlike the rumors surrounding LeBron's future, this part is already happening. The Los Angeles Lakers have chosen their future. That future is Luka Dončić. Think about what that means. For over 2 decades, LeBron James has been the center of every basketball universe he entered. Cleveland revolved around him, Miami revolved around him, Los Angeles revolved around him. Now, for the first time in a very long time, another superstar has become the franchise's primary focus. Luka isn't simply another all-star. He's the player the Lakers believe can carry them through the next decade. He's the player expected to sell jerseys, fill arenas, attract free agents, and most importantly, compete for championships. Once a franchise makes that decision, everything changes. Every trade call, every free agent meeting, every contract negotiation, every roster decision, everything must answer one question. Does this help Luka Dončić win? That's why Bronny's situation becomes so complicated. The Lakers are no longer evaluating players through the lens of LeBron's final year. They're evaluating players through the lens of Luka's prime years, and Luka's championship window is opening right now. Not 3 years from now, not 5 years from now. Right now, that creates enormous pressure on the front office. Development projects suddenly become harder to justify. Long-term experiments become less attractive. Potential becomes less valuable than production. Imagine being a Lakers executive sitting in a conference room this summer. You have a list of available veterans who can shoot 40% from 3, defenders who have playoff experience, role players who understand how to contribute immediately. Now compare that to a young player who is still learning, still developing, and still searching for consistency at the NBA level? Which option helps Luka faster? That's the question driving every discussion. And it's not personal. That's the important part. This isn't about whether the Lakers like Bronny. It isn't about whether they respect his work ethic. It isn't about whether he's improving. It's about whether every roster spot is being used as efficiently as possible to maximize Luka's chances of winning championships. Because championship organizations eventually reach a point where emotions can no longer influence decisions. The Lakers may be approaching that point right now. And if they are, Bronny could find himself caught directly between two eras. The ending of LeBron's era and the beginning of Luka's. History shows that transitions like these are rarely gentle. They're often ruthless. And in the next chapter, we're going to explore the uncomfortable battle at the center of this story. The value of sentiment versus the value of winning. Because sometimes the hardest decision in sports isn't choosing between good and bad. It's choosing between loyalty and championships. Loyalty versus championships. This is where the story becomes uncomfortable. Because every NBA fan loves loyalty until loyalty starts getting in the way of winning. And that's exactly the crossroads the Lakers may be approaching. On one side stands Bronny James, a young player who has handled impossible expectations, worked hard, improved steadily, and become part of one of the most memorable family stories in sports history. On the other side stands a franchise with championship ambition. A franchise that believes Luka Dončić can lead them back to the top. A franchise that understands title windows don't stay open forever. The question isn't whether Bronny deserves respect. He does. The question is whether respect is enough to justify a roster spot on a team trying to compete for a championship. That's where emotion and reality collide. Fans see the father-son story. Executives see roster construction. Fans see history. Executives see production. Fans see loyalty. Executives see opportunity cost. And opportunity cost can be ruthless. Every roster spot occupied by one player is a roster spot unavailable to someone else. Every minute given to a developmental player is a minute not given to a proven contributor. Every dollar committed to one contract is a dollar that cannot be spent elsewhere. Those realities don't make headline, but they win championships. Imagine the Lakers entering a crucial playoff series next season. The opposing team has elite scorers, experienced veterans, and a deep bench. Would the Lakers rather have a young prospect still developing his game, or a battle-tested role player who has already proven he can perform under playoff pressure? That is the type of question front offices ask every day. And the answer is rarely emotional. The truth is, championship teams often make decisions that look heartless from the outside. They trade fan favorites. They move on from popular players. They prioritize winning over sentiment. Not because they enjoy doing it, because that's the price of chasing a title. For Bronny, that reality creates a difficult challenge. He isn't competing against one specific player. He's competing against every possible upgrade the Lakers could add. Every veteran free agent, every trade target, every experienced role player available on the market, and that's a much tougher battle than most people realize. At the same time, there's another side to this story. Organizations that give up on young talent too early sometimes regret it. NBA history is filled with players who needed time before becoming valuable contributors. Players who struggled initially before eventually proving everyone wrong. The Lakers know that too, which is why this decision isn't as simple as many fans believe. It's a balancing act between patience and urgency, between future potential and present results, between loyalty and championships. And as the offseason approaches, that balance is becoming harder to maintain. Because in the next chapter, we'll break down the possible scenarios that could completely reshape Bronny's future, including one possibility that could send him following LeBron to a completely different team. The three paths in front of Bronny James's future may come down to three possible paths, and none of them are simple. The first path is the safest one. LeBron returns to the Lakers, and Bronny stays. In that scenario, the Lakers can justify keeping him for another season. The father-son story continues. The media attention remains strong. Bronny gets more time to develop, and the organization avoids creating unnecessary drama around LeBron's final chapter. That is the path Bronny supporters want. But it depends on one thing: LeBron choosing Los Angeles again. The second path is far colder. LeBron retires or leaves, and the Lakers move on from Bronny. This is the scenario that could shock casual fans but make sense inside a front office meeting. If LeBron is gone, the emotional and business reasons for keeping Bronny become weaker. Suddenly, the Lakers may decide they need that roster spot for a veteran who fits Luka Dončić better. That would not mean Bronny failed. It would mean the Lakers changed priority. The third path may be the most interesting. Bronny follows LeBron somewhere else. If LeBron decides to finish his career in Cleveland, Golden State, or another unexpected destination, Bronny could become part of that final chapter. Another team might sign him for the story, the development upside, or the chance to keep father and son together one more time. But even that path comes with pressure, because outside Los Angeles, Bronny would still have to prove he belonged. The last name may open doors, but it cannot keep them open forever. And that is the reality waiting for him, whether he stays, leaves, or follows LeBron. Bronny's next step will define how the basketball world sees him, not as LeBron's son, but as his own player. And that may be the most important battle of all. The Wembanyama fantasy. Every offseason has one rumor that explodes across social media. One rumor so massive, so exciting, that fans desperately want to believe it. For the Lakers, that rumor is Victor Wembanyama. Imagine it for a second. Luka Dončić, Victor Wembanyama. Two generational talents wearing purple and gold. The internet sees that image and immediately starts dreaming about championships, dynasties, and banners hanging from the rafters. But there is one major problem. It isn't reality. The truth is that Victor Wembanyama may be the single most untouchable player in the entire NBA. Think about what he's already accomplished. At an incredibly young age, he's become one of the most dominant two-way players in basketball. His combination of size, skill, defense, shot creation, and basketball intelligence is unlike anything the league has seen in years. Players like Wembanyama don't get traded. Teams build entire decades around players like Wembanyama. That's exactly what the San Antonio Spurs are doing. They aren't planning for life after Wembanyama. They are planning life around Wembanyama. Every draft pick, every free agent signing, every coaching decision, everything is designed to maximize his future. Why would they walk away from that? The answer is simple. They wouldn't. Not for draft picks, not for role players, not for future assets, not for almost anything imaginable. Even if the Lakers emptied their collection of young talent and future selections, the Spurs would still have little reason to answer the phone. Because when you possess a player who could dominate the league for the next decade, there is no package that truly replaces him. That's what makes the rumors so fascinating. Fans see possibility. Executives see impossibility. And that's a huge difference. The reality is that the Lakers know this. Their front office understands that chasing impossible dreams is not a strategy. Championship teams aren't built on fantasy trades. They're built on realistic moves. The Lakers don't need a miracle. They need solution. They need players who fit next to Luka. Players who defend, players who shoot, players who understand their role, players who can contribute immediately. That's where real championship building happens. Not in fantasy trade machine, not in viral social media posts, and certainly not in imaginary negotiations for the most valuable young player in basketball. Meanwhile, while fans continue debating impossible scenarios, the real issue remains unresolved. Bronny James, LeBron James, and the future direction of the Lakers. Because while Wembanyama isn't going anywhere, Bronny's future remains one of the biggest unanswered questions of the entire offseason. And in the next chapter, we'll focus on what the Lakers should actually do if their goal is winning a championship around Luka Dončić. The answer is far less glamorous than trading for Wembanyama, but it's far more realistic. The real championship blueprint. The Lakers don't need fantasy, they need a plan. Because while the internet keeps debating impossible trades and blockbuster dreams, championship teams are built through practical decisions that most fans barely notice. That's the position Los Angeles finds itself in today. The organization has already identified its centerpiece, Luka Dončić. Now comes the hard part, building the right team around him. History has shown us exactly what superstar playmakers like Luka need to succeed. They need shooters who can punish defenses for double teaming. They need defenders who can guard the opposing team's best players. They need athletic big men who can protect the rim and finish easy opportunities. And they need experienced veterans who understand how to survive deep playoff runs. None of those requirements are flashy, but every one of them is essential. The Lakers don't need 10 stars. They need the right pieces. That's why this offseason could be one of the most important in franchise history. Every move must fit a larger vision. Every contract must make sense. Every roster decision must answer one question. Does this improve our chances of winning a championship with Luka Dončić? If the answer is yes, the move becomes easier. If the answer is no, emotions cannot be allowed to take over. That's where Bronny's situation becomes part of a much bigger picture. His future isn't being evaluated in isolation. He's being evaluated alongside every available free agent, every potential trade target, every veteran role player, every young prospect. The Lakers aren't simply deciding whether Bronny deserves a chance. They're deciding whether keeping him is the best use of a valuable NBA roster spot. That distinction matters because championship windows are fragile. One bad offseason can set a franchise back years. One great offseason can completely transform a contender. The front office understands that pressure, and so does Luka. The expectation isn't to be competitive. The expectation is to contend for title. That means the Lakers must resist distraction. They cannot afford to chase impossible trades. They cannot afford to make decisions based purely on public relations. And they cannot afford to confuse sentimental value with championship value. The smartest organizations stay disciplined, they focus on achievable goals, they build depth, they strengthen weaknesses, they think months ahead while everyone else reacts day to day. That's exactly what Los Angeles must do now. Because while fans debate rumors, the real work is happening behind closed doors. The future of the franchise is being shaped. And every decision will ultimately lead back to one objective: building a team capable of bringing another championship to Los Angeles. But before we reach our final conclusion, there is one last question we have to answer. What lessons should we take away from this entire Bronny LeBron Lakers saga? The answer may be bigger than basketball itself. The lesson behind the chaos: in the end, this story is not only about Bronny James. It is about how quickly the NBA can change. One season, a player can be part of a historic family moment. The next, he can be fighting for his professional future. One year, a franchise can revolve around LeBron James. The next, it can shift completely toward Luka Dončić. That is the reality of professional sports. It moves fast, it rewards production, and it rarely waits for emotions to catch up, but that does not make Bronny a failure. Bronny James has already survived pressure that would break many young players. He has been judged, criticized, compared, and doubted before he ever had a real chance to grow in peace. Still, he kept working. That deserves respect. LeBron also deserves respect. After everything he has given the game, he has earned the right to make his next decision with his family, his body, and his future in mind. And the Lakers deserve the right to chase championships. That is what makes this situation so difficult. Nobody has to be the villain. Bronny can be a young player still developing. LeBron can be a legend near the end of an impossible career. The Lakers can be a franchise trying to win. All those things can be true at the same time. The lesson is simple. In basketball, legacy opens doors, but work must keep them open. Names create attention, but performance creates security. And dreams are powerful, but strategy wins championships. For Bronny, the next chapter is about proving he belongs on his own term. For LeBron, it is about choosing peace with whatever comes next. For the Lakers, it is about building wisely, staying disciplined, and remembering that championships are not won by fantasy. They are won by patience, courage, and hard decisions. So now I want to hear from you. What should the Lakers do? Comment 1 if they should keep Bronny no matter what. Comment 2 if they should move on if LeBron leaves. Comment 3 if Bronny should follow LeBron to another team. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, share this video with another NBA fan, and turn on notifications so you never miss the next story from around the league. Thank you for watching.